Today we will talk about hydraulic, solid, flat tappet. What kind of camshaft can we use on the street? Now, back in the day, the old days, everybody had solid camshaft, hydraulic or hydraulic or solid flat tappet. If you look at this solid camshaft, you know it's like a pyramid. All right, it's very, very sharp. Dwells real quick at the top of the lift and comes down drastically. Now, a hydraulic roller is this. If we look at the lobes again, it's a little bit wider around here on the waist area, giving you more effective valve lift time off the seat, as opposed to the very sharp flat tappet, solid or hydraulic. Then here is the solid roller right here. Look at that, that's almost straight up. Okay, the reason for that is this. If you have a flat tappet, it will not climb that, it'll dig in. All right, when it come off the base circle, it'll dig in. So what they did end up is putting a roller wheel on it so it can climb that rather easily. Now, on a hydraulic flat tappet or solid flat tappet, one way to check them is they really don't sit on the lobe center. They're off to the side so that they would rotate. That keeps them alive. And when you check them, you set them like this, see if they rock. Okay? Because there's a concave there, designed to permit it to roll around the cam lobe. If that thing is flat, get rid of it. All right? Or during a rebuild, and maybe you just caught it on time, check your old lifters and do that. If you don't see daylight on the side of this lifter face, get rid of it. Okay? Now, hydraulic roller, as far as I'm concerned, on the street, is the best one to use. Why is that? Well, a lot of people always say hydraulic lifters, you don't have to do the valve adjustment, so forth and so on, and it's quite not as drastic. Well, yes and no. Hydraulic rollers are easy on the valve train, but a lot harder than a flat tappet camshaft. All right, because the ramp, the opening and closing ramps are so much more drastic, which a solid or hydraulic flat tappet can't do. Now, back in the day when I won the Muscle Car Nationals, I ran a Manly solid flat tappet, eventually switching to an Isky. Now, mind you, that car ran 1030, which was fast back in the mid 80s. Stock suspension, all steel head, of course, was ported, then done all that work to it. Now, when I went to a solid roller on a friend of mine, Ron McCoy, he went 1030, just as fast as my 351 on the same early style Mustang, showing you that the power potential of a solid flat tappet is in there. Now, when I ran a hydraulic profile, like here, the same combination will run about 2/10 slower, 1050, 1060. That is not bad. That's a street grind, not a race grind like I did for Ron McCoy. But 1050, 2/10 slower, not bad. Not bad at all. Now, the only problem with the flat tappet today, and I don't recommend anybody building a new engine and say, oh, I'm going to run a solid flat tappet or hydraulic. Don't waste your time. The thinner oils today will wipe that cam lobe out. Even though you break it in, it's just that there's not much cushion there with the thin oils. Plus they removed the zinc, which kept a lot of the lifters right. Or some people say you can put zinc additive. Yes, but you know what? Still not. Just because you do an oil change, you know, you go back out and you forget to add that on, or say, oh, it can last one more run and then I'll add it on the next run, the next event. Well, you're gonna damage it. Okay, you're not gonna get away with it. And for as long as a time, flat tappet builds up until 10 years ago, I'll tell them, just run diesel oil, Della 400 or something. There's some kind of zinc left in diesel oil, and that would keep it alive. But somehow California diesel oil is not like the ones sold in Texas or whatever out of state. The other state spec oils, the California diesel oil is even less zinc. But that's what I hear. Okay, so that is a no-no. I wouldn't recommend it at all. Now, as far as diesel oil, I ran that thing also on a race car, 8,500 RPM. Now, I'm just afraid, just to run out of curiosity. It didn't do any damage, but I'm just afraid, and I'm thinking that there might be foaming issues there. Fortunately, we have a big oil pan, like a boat pan on a car. So that may have alleviated any issues as far as whipping that doggone diesel oil to high RPM. I don't think it was meant to turn that high. But I could be mistaken, but it's just that I didn't feel good. Use real oil, real race oil. Now, on the lifters, when you upgrade from Chevy 843 lifters, when they tell you, let's bore it out to a bigger lifter diameter, what they're trying to tell you is they're gonna set you up with a Ford 875 lifter. It's bigger diameter, or they'll tell you to run the 904 Chryslers. Some blocks will probably not permit that, there's not enough casting left in there, but they will take the Ford. Now, the Fords, when they upgrade to the 904s, it'll work. Granted, you also have a lot of material there to bore out. But one thing you gotta look about is, and be aware is, when you have a bigger diameter wheel or bigger diameter lifter, the wheel correspondingly is also bigger. So your actual duration, lift stays the same, but the actual off-seat timing is changed enough to probably change your whole combination. Now, if you said, oh, I went faster with a 904 compared to my 843 on a Chevrolet. Oh yeah, because you have more, the wheel is bigger, your actual duration, effective duration, just got wider, okay? The bigger wheel will touch the base of the cam lobe a lot earlier and lift it up because the wheel is bigger. Now, there are other things you gotta look at when you're clearing with a flat tappet camshaft. All right, even a hydraulic roller or a solid roller. When you're the old school cam specs, which I know a lot of you guys still do today, even though you have a nice set of new castings, especially aluminum castings, you'll clear 600 on a stock block or stock piston, okay? And then that is taking into account 106, 108, or even as narrow as 102 to help those restrictive cylinder heads. That decreases your valve to piston clearance. Once you get up to the 112, 114, 116, or like what this Yates require, 117, I won't run this any lower than 114.5, your valve clearance increases. Okay, the wider the lobe center, the valve clearance gets better. And one good thing is that people started trying, or pro stock builders or competition eliminator builders started running wider lobe centers in hopes of getting additional valve clearance for the inch lift for 950 that they're running. The blessing of that wider lobe center is that the valve clearance Sure, they got the 950 or inch over inch lift clearances, but actually the power even got better. So that was a blessing as a matter of consequence. All right, what else do I have here? Now, oh, solid roller on the street. A lot of people say, oh, don't run a solid roller, I can't take it. I have done that. I have done it with Dale Snokes and well, Dale Snokes' Comet is a perfect example because that has been in very many magazines, and he runs pump gas, Arco 91, makes about 630, 640 horse. What's amazing is that I have him at 260 at 50 with a 640 lift. The car at 3,200 pounds will run in the 1070. Okay, maybe a better track 1050 range at 3,200 pounds. Now, they tested the FI Holley fuel injection in that engine. It's been in numerous carburetor tests because it was such a, what do you call that? A very dependable solid roller cam street engine. He doesn't trailer that car. It goes all over town. In fact, it became Hot Wheels model to be sold out there. It was in the Jay Leno show as well, and we did that engine a long time. And I think in a span of 4 years, I think I've adjusted the valves on that about two times. That's it. It stays like with Isky or ComCam. You can ask for a softer lobe profile for the street. They will do that for you. It's not quite as drastic, snapping the valve open and shutting it closed. You're gonna get solid roller cam lobes that are softer, and they would even maintain their adjustment even more. Plus, again, with today's oils, not like the old days when I was running, everything wasn't as good. Valve material, springs, lifters material, everything. So you do go out of adjustment many times. Today, oh man, they hold pretty doggone good. And so hydraulic roller is my preference on the street for you guys who want to keep it simple. But if you want the fastest street combination for any given lift, a solid roller would be hard to beat. And don't be afraid, it's not gonna go out of adjustment. Just do your preliminary and your rocker arm geometry, make sure that is correct. It's hitting right on the center of the valve, and you're gonna be okay. What else do I have on my notes here? Hydraulic, everything. Okay, now, one negative effect of a flat tappet to a solid roller or hydraulic roller, distributor gear changed to what the manufacturer says, steel or bronze for racing. Now, what I would recommend, if you already have a steel gear, you're switching to a new camshaft, change that steel gear so that it will break in properly to the new camshaft you're running. Do not use that and save money and drive. Oh yeah, because it's gonna sit in there a little differently, and you might do some damage. So you already spent good money on the solid roller or hydraulic roller. Change the distributor gear, especially if you're running a heavy duty oil pump. There's more load on that distributor gear, so I'd prefer that you start off fresh. Now, another thing is that on the Fords, on the front of the block, they have this kind of freeze plugs. It's a push and freeze plug. Okay, tap the block to use a screw-in freeze plug, and before you install it, drill a little tiny hole there, the smallest hole or smallest drill you got. If you don't have any tiny one, buy some, and then screw this on the galley behind the distributor gear. Okay, the distributor gear is here. There's an oil galley that comes in. Tap it and put those screw-in plugs in there. All you're trying to do, or what you will accomplish there, is you will spray a little bit of oil through the distributor gear. It's not needed on a Chevrolet. Okay, you get enough oil. But the Ford, make sure that you do that. Besides, it scares me when you're running high volume oil pump with push-in plugs on the galleys. You have them on the back, but push-in freeze plugs on the front. That's a no-no. What else do I have here? Distributor gear. Okay. All issues, of course, we talk about that. The lifters will go round no matter what you do with today's oil on a flat tappet. That's why I want you guys to switch to hydraulic roller. There should be no logical explanation why you would run a flat tappet today. All right. And some people say, well, when you look at the hydraulic roller and a flat tappet, the flat tappet is lighter. You'll RPM more than a hydraulic roller. That's why they put a bigger, heavier spring. No, they put a bigger, heavier spring because the valve event is so much more drastic with a hydraulic roller or a solid roller. That's why the spring for the same amount of lift is what costs 100 pounds, 95 pounds for a flat tappet at, let's say, 540 or 520 or 500 lift. It'll require 140 to 160 on a hydraulic roller. Not because this is heavy. More the weight matters at high RPM on the valve side and the retainers, the keepers, and the actual valve weight. The lifter weight is almost inconsequential, maybe, except maybe if you're turning 85, 94, then it will show up some kind of difference. But for us street guys, no. All right, that weight is no big deal. Now, the hydraulic roller, I prefer the captive bar like this, sold by other manufacturers out there, instead of running the Ford Spider layout, retaining the lifters. It's good. I never had any failures in them. Is that I think I like this one better, especially for the retrofit. Now, when the Chevrolets don't have that issue. The LS has got that little plastic insert in there that holds it in place. No problem. Pretty doggone good. What else have I missed? Okay, now, on some of the new guys, especially building the HOs and stuff, everybody's a B303 cam or a E303 cam fan. Okay, you have this group. Oh, the E cam is junk. You know, the B cam is the best. Well, either way, B or E cam, could I just advise one thing? If you're on a carburetor, you run a B cam, it's got a little bit more duration. Put 2 degrees forward on the timing here, and then run 1.7 rockers. Now on the E, which is more slated towards the fuel injected, not the carbureted type, and you can also use it for carb 5.0s. The E cam also run a 1.7 rocker. Okay, still boost you up to roughly about 536, 540 lift. Perfect. That's my only complaint about the B and the E cam. They should have said, if you want to upgrade now with this cam, run a 1.7 rocker from the mandated called for 1.6. It's always a plus. Now the B cam's a little bit more duration, a little bit more soggier. That's why I said 2 degrees forward with a 1.7 rocker. Same with the E, straight up or with a 1.7 rocker. Then you'll find out you got a pretty good combination. A lot of people are saying, oh man, I got an E cam. How come your E cam's or your B cam is a lot stronger than mine? Seems to pull a lot stronger. Well, I got 30,000 more lift, either or. Okay, either with one of those camshaft with a 1.7 rocker, it wakes it up. I think like 12, 15 horsepower more. Anyway, that's it for now. Please like and subscribe to Ben Alameda Racing, and I'll continue on and post more racing and street videos. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.